Will Smith, Ensnared Tears. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. If, by some chance, you have failed to access my scintillating and sterling analysis of Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith, then you really do need to ask yourself, what have you been doing recently? I would invite you to stop watching this video now and go and indulge yourself in a brilliant analysis of the two of them and subsequent interactions between them and other people. If you already have done, then you will know that as a consequence of my analysis, I found that Jada Pinkett Smith is a narcissist and Will Smith is an empath, and that Will, occasioned by his addiction to the narcissist and clouded by his own emotional thinking, is unaware that he has found himself in a sustained devaluation as a consequence of his wife's icy and haughty behaviours. I've detailed in parts passim of the series about the Smiths, the evidence that shows what she is, what he is, and also I've broken down for you the dynamics between them, using video analysis of them on the red carpet, the ridiculous red table talks where she belittled and humiliated him, talking about her interaction with the young man that she had an affair with, and the instance whereby she was recording Will at home and again then started to talk about him to the therapist that she involved. All excellent instances of the dynamic between the two. And of course, a lot of this all came as a consequence of the infamous slap that took place at the Oscars controversy. This has been revisited, and oddly enough, it's Hello which takes us there, with an article by Shahnaz Shahid, who undoubtedly is ensconced in some underground facility somewhere in London as acting deputy online editor, churning out articles. She's probably quite pleased that she hasn't been asked by two rubber-masked individuals to write about Harry's wife, and instead she gets to write about Will Smith's recent appearance, which states, Will Smith tears up as he recalls family shame over Oscars slap controversy. The Hollywood actor is promoting emancipation 8 months after his Oscars slap. Will Smith has given his first talk show interview 8 months after his altercation with Chris Rock at this year's Oscars. Appearing on Monday night's episode of The Daily Show with Trevor Noah, the 54-year-old opened up about the shame he felt when he returned home after the ceremony when his 9-year-old nephew asked him, "Why did you hit that man, Uncle Will?" Of course, he experiences shame as a consequence of his emotional empathy, his ability to recognize that he has made a mistake. I analysed why he behaved as he did in parts passim, so I'm not going to go over that ground again. You can access the videos if you want to understand what motivated him to slap Rock in the first place. The article continues by explaining, "My little nephew Dom is 9, explained Smith. He is the sweetest little boy. We came home," he started to explain. "He had stayed up late to see his Uncle Will, and we are sitting in my kitchen, and he's on my lap, and he's holding the Oscar, and he is just like, 'Why did you hit that man, Uncle Will?' Reduced to tears, Will took out his tissues and joked, 'Damn it, why are you trying to Oprah me? It was a mess, you know. I don't want to go too far into it to give people more to misunderstand.' It's clear that he's trying to draw a line over it, or under it, and that he's looking to assert a boundary with regard to what has occurred. But it's evident also that recollection of his behaviour is something that he still exhibits remorse for. Of course, if we had established that Will Smith was a narcissist, we would know that this issue of turning on the waterworks would simply be a pity play. Now, of course, he is receiving sympathy for the sensitivity that he exhibits, but he's not doing it in a way to enable him to control other people or to receive fuel As an empathic individual, he needs neither of those things. The article continues that Smith added, "There's many nuances and complexities to it, but at the end of the day, I lost it, you know. I was going through something that night, you know. Not that that justifies my behaviour at all. It was a lot of things. It was the little boy that watched his father beat up his mother, you know. All of that just bubbled up in that moment." In my analysis of Smith, I analysed the upbringing that he had and how that created his formation of being an empath and also forged his addiction to the narcissist, his wife, of course, being one. It's interesting, of course, that he doesn't speak expressly as to what precisely caused him to behave in the way that he did. It might be that he does actually know and he's got it correct, but he doesn't want to talk about it. Or it might be that he's still groping around in the dark, not truly understanding why he acted as he did. It may well be that he still doesn't realise what his wife is, and that he's ensnared, and that he has continually sought to appease her, placate her, and that causes him to act in the way that he does. That as a consequence of Chris Rock's remarks, and undoubtedly the sustained devaluation that he's repeatedly found himself under, and which there's plenty of evidence of, Smith's emotional empathy for Rock was eroded, and as a consequence of the compulsion exhibited on him by his wife to do something in effect to defend her honour, namely, she was asserting control over both Smith and Rock by essentially giving him the nod to go and do something about it. In fact, to give him a look as if to say, "Aren't you going to do something about this, you spineless man? Tupac would have got medieval on Rock's ass, so you better sort your shit to get out." That is what has compelled Smith to act. That his emotional empathy for Rock was eroded, and also because of the repeated devaluing behaviours that he's been subjected to with regard to his wife, he was compelled to act, almost conditioned in effect, that when she indicated that he should act, he did so. It still appears that he doesn't realise what it is that he's actually dealing with. You'll recall that Jada Pinkett Smith talked about that it was a time to heal and she was here for it. Although, of course, she can't heal, she can't change, but she does enjoy spouting lots of sanctimonious, self-obsessed claptrap under the auspices of healing and growth and so on and so forth, as she continues to use her husband's vulnerabilities against him. He remains ensnared. The tears that were spilled are the tears of an ensnared empath who has not moved beyond the clutches of his wife. He has not escaped, and she has not disengaged from him. And so at the moment, the interaction between him and his wife of narcissist and intimate partner primary source is that roller coaster situation. She grants him respite periods, a return to the golden period when everything is wonderful, and in between he is devalued. And we've seen lots of evidence of the way that she does that, invalidating him, belittling him, the way that she criticised him, for instance, with regard to the celebrations for her 40th birthday. The high-handed and haughty way that she belittled him on the Red Table Talk, banging on about her involvement with the young man that she ensnared. It's evident that Smith has no idea what it is that he's involved in. The article continues with Smith stating, "That is not who I want to be. I was gone. That was a rage that had been bottled for a really long time." I suspect he's been led to believe that that's what it is. In actual fact, it isn't. It was a reaction to the addiction that he has to his wife and the way that she controls him. The article adds, Will's life was forever changed when he slapped Chris on stage after he made a joke about his wife, Jada Pinkett Smith's hair loss. But he's slowly making a comeback. He's now busy promoting his latest film, Emancipation. Back in July, Will fought back tears in an emotional statement addressing the incident for the first time. "I've reached out to Chris, and the message that came back is he's not ready to talk, and when he is, he will reach out," he said to the camera. Note there that he's been rebuffed by Rock, and, in the circumstances, he wouldn't be wounded by that as he's not a narcissist. Of course, it may hurt him somewhat that Rock hasn't accepted it, but rather than keep prodding Rock to do what he wants, or smearing Rock, he simply explains he's not ready. And therefore, I'm going to issue an apology anyway, and therefore the article records the fact that Smith stated, "So I will say to you, Chris, I apologise to you. My behaviour was unacceptable and I'm here whenever you're ready to talk." Will looked down the lens of the camera as he explained, "I've spent the last 3 months replaying and understanding the nuances and complexities of what happened in that moment. I'm not going to try to unpack that right now. I can say to all of you that there is no part of me that thinks that that's the right way to behave." He added, "I'm sorry really isn't sufficient. I'm human and I made a mistake." That is the genuine contrition of an individual governed by his empathic traits in relation to an event where his narcissistic traits, anger and argumentativeness, took over. It appears to me, however, with the way that he continues to talk about the incident and, of course, the fact that he remains in a relationship with his wife, that he doesn't realise that he remains ensnared by a narcissist. And the tears that he shed as a consequence of his own shame and embarrassment at his behaviour are the tears of someone who remains ensnared with a narcissist. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.